All right, and looks like we are recording. Welcome back to another episode here on Tarot Tuesdays with the Lazy Genius Tarot and Bazaar. My name is Alex. If you are new here, thank you for making this your first stop on the channel. I definitely appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Today, we are going to go over the differences between Type 1 and Type 2 Tarot de Marseille. The example that we have for type 1 is the Dodal, which is the Flournoy Dodal. Here is the box. And the type 2 that we're going to be using is the Tarot Gasman from 1840. All right. So I guess we will just go ahead and jump right into it. So to start off, there are 10 main differences between Type 1 and Type 2 Tarot de Marseille. We are going to go over the 10 differences of the two decks here. We are not going to go through both decks in full, just the cards that make up the differences between the two systems, as I do plan on doing a full walkthrough between both of these decks at some point in the very near future. So those will be coming. Keep your eye out for those. And because of those, we are not going to be doing a full walkthrough of these two decks today, just covering the differences between the two types. To start, here we are going to go through the majors a little bit, and we will notice that the first big difference here is that the Emperor is looking at the number 4 in the Type 1 deck, where in the Type 2 deck it is not there. And then here we notice the second difference, wherein the Pope has the triple cross here on the Type 2, but the Type 1, there's like a bulb or something up here at the top with what looks to be something folded over the very top of the, I guess you would call this a staff here. So that is another difference, another way that you can tell the difference between the two types of Marseille there. And then here we notice the third difference, where in the Type 1 deck, if you notice, Cupid is flying in from the right-hand side of the card and is blindfolded, wherein on the Type 2, you have the Cupid flying in from the left-hand side of the card with no blindfold. All right. And here we notice the next difference between the two. Another way that you can tell. On the Type 1, the Chariot here has a scalloped canopy, and a lot of the time the shield here in the front will also be empty, whereas here you have more of almost like a curtain-like canopy and a intricate designed shield on the front of the Chariot there. That's the Justice, Hermit, the Wheel, Strength or Force, and here we have the Hanged Man. Here is the next set of differences between the two types. With the Hanged Man, if you notice, I don't know how well you can see this on camera. Okay, so if you notice here, he's got his tongue out and there are fingers coming out over his shoulders, whereas on the Type 2, that does not exist here. Also, another interesting thing to note in the Dodal deck from Flournoy, the Hanged Man is numbered in reverse. So it reads 12, but it reads 12 backwards. A new perspective there. So that is something else that I did notice about the differences here between the two. All right. Here we have Death, Temperance, the Devil. Here we have the next marker between the two, and that is the face in the Devil's belly. That is another indicator of type 1 versus type 2. The face in the belly is a type 1 thing. No face in the belly is a type 2 thing. We have the star. And here with the moon, we see the next big difference between the two decks here. And that would be the direction that the moon is facing. So in type 1, the moon is facing directly at you, straight forward, where in the type 2 style, you have the moon facing off to the left side of the card there. So the direction that the moon is facing is also another indicator there. The next indicator is actually going to be on the world card. I like the sun card on this deck here. Judgment and the world. Okay, so here's the next indicator. On a type 1 deck, you will notice that the lady or the person on the world card there has a leafy skirt, and the legs on her are not crossed. The legs are not crossed, and it is a leafy skirt. Whereas on the world card in the type 2, the person here at the center of the card has their legs crossed and is wearing sort of like the sash that we're used to seeing on all of the other world cards around. Here we have the Fool. This is the next clear marker of the differences between the two systems, where in type 1 it is labeled Le Fol, and in type 2 it is labeled Le Mat. So you have a different name on the cards there for the Fool. And the final difference between the two systems, and I've just pulled all of the knights out of the decks for this. The knights in the type 1, I want to make sure you can still see this, are labeled Chevalier, Chevalier, whereas the knights in the type 2 are named Cavalier. Yeah, you can see that, okay. Are named Cavalier, and that is spelled Cavalier. So the spelling is different on the knights in the type 2 versus the type 1. I did also notice that all of the knights on the Dodal are stamped, which is pretty cool there. So that is the 10 differences between type 1 and type 2 Tarot de Marseille. That is just a quick breakdown of how you can tell the difference between the two types of Marseille decks there, between type 1 or type 2. Most type 2 decks that I have seen are usually Convert inspired. And then honestly, as far as type 1 decks go, I only know of a few of them, and the only one of them that I know of so far, and please, if anybody knows any others, please do leave them in the comments below so that I can look up the decks and possibly buy them, because I really like this type 1 setup here, but the only one that I know of so far that hits all 10 of them is the Dodal deck. I am still trying to find the Pablo Robledo version of the Dodal. So as soon as I can get my hands on that, I will definitely be showing that one to you guys. But it could possibly take me a while to find it. I don't think they're making that one anymore. And I think it's only available on Cartogram, which I don't currently have the extra money for. So I think I'm going to have to pass on that. But yeah, I like the Type 1 system. Other Type 1 decks that I know of are the Noble and the Hari. I believe it's 1730. It's available from Yves Renaud, actually, the last place that I had seen it. I know that that is another Type 1 deck, if I'm not mistaken. But again, if you know of any others, please leave them in the comments. If I said one that wasn't, please do let me know. Because I would definitely like to expand my knowledge of the Type 1 Tarot de Marseille. Definitely like to dive down that rabbit hole as I learn tarot here. Again, I do appreciate everybody for stopping by and checking this out as we go over the 10 differences between Type 1 and Type 2 Tarot de Marseille. Again, for those of you that are returning, I thank you for coming back to spend some more time with me. And if this was your first video, thank you for making this your first stop on the ride. Hit the subscribe button. Join me next time. Tarot Tuesdays, Walkthrough Wednesdays, and I am still working on that series setup there. I have decided to tweak a couple of things, so just bear with me as I get all of that stuff put together. I appreciate your guys' patience, and again, thank you for coming, and I will see you on the next one.